Okay, so this is the very special case where we have a negative on the a. So, well, we have to just factorize it out. So if you look on the right hand side, we've got our general quadratic, and if we factorize out the -1, which remember is just division by -1 of everything in there, we get something which is equivalent, but we've got rid of that negative on the a. You know, that's the real problem, is the negative on the a. The others, the b and the c, can be negative. So we'll do that first. And it's pretty straightforward. You know, I've got to change color every now and again. Here comes the green. It's pretty straightforward. We don't have to write -1. We just need to write a minus. It'll work the same every single time. We're going to take that negative out, like what we know that means, put it outside the bracket. And everything that you see in the original question is going to change its sign. So now the x squared becomes positive, then the x is negative, and so is the 2. And then inside this bracket, we've got a quadratic which might be a bit easier to deal with. So the not very difficult factors, typically we would try to get the basic method in. So we're thinking about numbers that multiply together to get 2. That's pretty straightforward. And then how do we use those to get to -1? Well, we're going to take away 2, I think. And then that just goes into our brackets. And then we factorized it. Now this is perfectly fine. It's in 2 brackets. If I expand it, it will be the same as the original question. But what we can do is think of these as 3 factors. So -1 and x minus 2 and x plus 1. And you can choose to multiply together the first 2. So if I expanded the -1 into that bracket, every sign would change in there. So you'd end up switching it around. Now, I'll show you what you would do, I suppose, if you're new to it. You might just keep the x exactly where it is. You notice it doesn't affect the second bracket. In the same way, look over here now. If I was to do 2 times 3 times 5, then I do these 2, and the 5 is still there. But that isn't, you know, what I would prefer to do. I'd prefer to think, because they're both being either added or subtracted, I would probably want to put the negative second. So first time it would go straight in as 2 minus x. So typically keeping that negative in the middle and just switching around the term that's there. So here are 3 questions that are really good for you to practice with. Recommend pausing the video at this point and having a go yourself. Really good for building resilience and getting used to being in an environment where you don't really know what's coming. You're not looking at the answer, and it's just you and the question, which is like the exam. Okay, so I'll carry on at this point and do the question. So we're going to take out the negative as described. You know, negatives cause a lot of issues. We try and get rid of them where possible, and especially the x squared. So typical to not want it negative. Do what you can to get it positive. That includes multiplying through by -1 if necessary. So pretty easy numbers here. So we've got 30, and we're thinking of factors of 10 and 3. And you don't need to write it all out. If you're going to try and increase your complexity, you could probably do that process in your head. Just make sure you don't forget it. And if you're feeling shaky, make sure you do write it out. So it's going to be 10 and 3. We have to get to -7. So it's going to be a +3. And we're going to take away 10. and we combine it. We don't need to multiply the first bracket. We're going to multiply the negative by the second bracket. They're all being multiplied. You've got a negative one out the front. They're all being multiplied, so you just need to pick which ones you want to multiply. And I want to multiply the last bracket. So that will give me positive 10 now. Subtract x. Next question. Take our negative out. Factors of 36 to consider. We'll go through in order, I suppose. It's definitely not going to be 1, 2, or 3. It's going to be 3 and 12. So we'll try 4 and 9. Sounds good. So it looks like with the basic factors that come from your times table, you can see that this is probably a nice straightforward one to factorize. So we're going to go ahead with that and not use any other method. What did we say again? 4 and 9, didn't we? So we're going to have a positive 9 and subtract a 4 to still that be a positive 5. And we'll combine the negative in again with a second bracket to become 4 minus x. Lovely. Should we highlight where the answers are? Better. Okay. Now, the last one might need a bit more space. It looks like it's a humdinger, right? See the 5 on the front? It's here to trick us. Technically, we wouldn't want to take the 5 out here because 22 is not looking good, but we'll stick with our negative out. See where that gets us. Now, you can see that this is a quadratic where a is more than 1, so we're going to employ a little method here. We do a times c. 5 times 15 is 75, and so looking for factors of 75 that equal 22. So I'm going to go with 25 and 3. To get to 22, we'll keep 25 positive and we'll take away 3. So this is going to be rewritten. So I'll start writing a bit smaller. See if that'll help me fit things on. 5x squared. And we'll probably keep the 25 with that, considering the 3 will go into 15. X and then minus 3x. Subtract 15. Keeping that negative out the front, we're going to factorize the first two terms. 5x goes into both, and if we do that division, we end up with x plus 5. And on the right hand side, I'm going to make an executive decision to take out a negative 3, although you're very welcome to take out a positive 3. I guess the experience just says in this case, taking out that negative helps. Now, at this stage, reassurance comes in the fact that I've got the two brackets x plus 5 the same. I was looking for that, and if I was stuck, I could probably use that as a guidance. Factorize again. So the two coefficients of the brackets, 5x minus 3, and then obviously the x plus 5, which is the common factor. And then we combine the negative in, so that will lead to 3 subtract 5x, and then x plus 5. All right, so that's how to deal with a negative. It's a special case. Yes, it is a pain, but this works.